And I actually want to start with a topic that's not on the rundown because
Josh is already pulling a heel turn. He's already being the final boss.
Because SGA last night against the Houston Rockets got another 50-point game, his 4th of the season, I believe it is, if I'm not mistaken. So, to you, is he the best player in the NBA this season?
That's hard to answer because this season is the caveat, right? I don't think he is the best player in the NBA. I think he is the most valuable player in the NBA this season, but I don't know if I'd call him the best player. I still think Nikola Jokic is still the best player in the world.
Okay, so if you were starting a franchise right now,
Nikola Jokic, number one, without a doubt.
You go with Jokic?
And I would not hesitate. And by the way, this may sound crazy, but I would even take a 40-year-old LeBron James over SGA right now.
So
I would. I would take Luka over SGA right now.
Wait a minute. So I'm not going to try and rank the players you've mentioned, but you've mentioned Jokic, you've mentioned LeBron, you've mentioned Luka,
yes,
and SGA. So in some order, those are those your top 4?
Yeah, and I think Ant's creaking in there to that number 4 or 5 spot. I think Ant and SGA is a real conversation, but I think SGA is one more at this point.
So in terms of this season, I feel like I have to go with SGA because of, he's averaging, I think, 30 points a game this season. Like I said, he's up to 4 50-point games last night. And the OKC Thunder, who I'm going to see face the Memphis Grizzlies down in Oklahoma City on March 27th, in which would be a fantastic game. SGA against John Morant. Top 4 matchup in the Western Conference. Sign me up every day, all day. Don't worry, there will be vlogs down in OKC. But, SGA has vaulted the Thunder all the way up to the number 1 seed in the West. One of the top teams overall in the NBA. You've got people left and right saying the Thunder are the best team in the West. They should be the favorites to come out of that.
Oh, they're without a doubt. I mean, they're 10.5 games. I think the last time I checked was Sunday. They may be up more than that now for the number 1 seed. They are going to be the number 1 seed in the Western Conference.
So, but here's my concern when it comes to Oklahoma City overall. When I look at a team like last year's Boston Celtics, I think part of the reason why they were able to finally break through and win the championship is because they had been through so much in terms of the playoffs. And this goes all the way back to like 2017, 2018, when they played us back-to-back in the conference finals. You had Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown on those 2 teams, or at least one of them.
Yeah, I hear your point, but I also think Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis make a big difference.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, the Celtics have been through a lot in terms of the playoffs. They were playoff tested, and then you had the final 2 pieces.
They are, but those 2 pieces made a real difference. And the East was down most of the year, too. So
yes, but again, Drew Holiday is playoff tested. He won a championship.
He is. And by the way, that's what I was saying throughout the entire postseason run. That's why they were so dominant.
So Porzingis doesn't have as much playoff experience, but clearly he turned out to be the missing piece, or one of the missing pieces.
Well, I don't know about that. They beat Indiana without him.
Overall, I would say he turned out to be one of the missing pieces for the Celtics. But getting back to Oklahoma City, my point is, yes, they went through that series loss against Dallas, which the Mavericks suffered another tough blow. Good job.
The Mavericks went from being NBA Finals to potentially having the number 1 pick in the draft within a period of 9 months.
Yes. But what I'm saying, though, is like, I don't know if Oklahoma City has that type of battle-tested playoff experience.
Okay, can I ask you, when Golden State won their championship in 2015, outside of the 1 year they lost, which again was 2014, the year before that, what battle tested did they have?
I'm pretty sure they were in the playoffs in 2 years prior to that in 2013.
So was Oklahoma City, though.
I just don't. I
got Josh speechless. He doesn't know how to respond to that.
No, it felt like
Yes.
wait, hold on. It felt like we have been seeing the core of Golden State putting it together, and you started to see that.
Okay, you're starting to see with Oklahoma City. We started to see it 2 years ago before they went on their run last year as the 1 seed.
Here's my thing, though. We've seen how Isaiah Hartenstein has been injured throughout the season. Chet Holmgren has been injured throughout the season. Can you rely on on the two of them to stay healthy?
Well, the good news for them to me is there's no excuse for them not to at least make the Western Conference Finals. And I think the Lakers and Denver are going to play in the second round. They're going to beat each other up. And depending on who wins that series, I think will basically determine if Oklahoma City can get to the finals or not.
Okay. It's fascinating with Oklahoma City. Well, let's get to our actual first topic.
How about this? When Jason Tatum was saying, "Get off me, timeout, we're so good, we're the Boston Celtics," Jason Tatum had like 30 points in the first half, and then he does what Jason Tatum always does. Disappears in big games, in big moments.
Oh, here you go.
Never has that dog in him. Where Donovan Mitchell and Jared Allen and Evan Mobley stepped up to the plate.
Well, I wouldn't say as much Jared Allen because he wasn't really on the floor in the fourth quarter.
Okay, fair enough, but still, this Cavs team took advantage of a Boston Celtics team that kind of thought the game was over at this point, 25-3. They didn't play with urgency the rest of the night, and the Cavs kept chipping away, and the addition of DeAndre Hunter on both sides of the basketball court really showed up in this game Friday night. And Josh, I want to reiterate that, again, 2 weeks ago, you said coming right out of the All-Star break, you were very concerned about the Cavs' 5-game stretch. And they ended up going 5-0 in those games. You know why they ended up going 5-0? It ain't no fluke. And it's because they are undisputably, I don't give a rat's ass that we just talked about Oklahoma City. This team on the screen right here, right now, is the best team in basketball. I don't give a damn that Oklahoma City beat the Cavs by 50 in Oklahoma City. I told you it was an off night. Oklahoma City had everything going. It was a one-off. Who cares? This Cavs team, from day one of this year when they started 15-0, was the best team in basketball. They have been better than Boston all year long. Now, I will give you, Boston did not have Drew Holiday in this game. They did not have Kristaps Porzingis in this game. Could that make a difference in a potential 7-game postseason series? Absolutely, yes, I do acknowledge that. But I think this Cavs team right now, the way they play, offensive, defensively, their ability to shoot the ball. Look at what Sam Merrill and DeAndre Hunter did even Sunday against the Blazers without Donovan Mitchell, with a struggling Darius Garland to come back down 18 points. And I get it, the Blazers aren't a great basketball team, but the Blazers had control of that game for the third quarter, and the Cavs just flexed their muscle and went on an incredible run. This team has the ability to flip a switch, a lot like Golden State did in their prime days when we went through them in those 4 straight NBA finals. It was a close first half-ish, second half, third quarter, play some defense for 5 minutes, and bam, the lead goes from 5 points to 15 points. This Cavs team is the best team in basketball.
Okay, so I'm looking this up just to make sure I have it right. That's the wrong game. So Jason Tatum finished with 46 points in the game.
Of empty calorie stats.
Jaylen Brown finished with 37. So they combined for 83. Like,
out of their 121 points they had?
116.
So 93, 10. So they had, everybody else on the team had 33 points. That's it.
And that's what I'm saying. You're putting a lot of the blame on Jason Tatum, and I understand why you're doing that. You've been particularly hard on Jason Tatum.
Because Jason Tatum acts like he's a top 5 best player in the world when Jason Tatum will disappear when you need him the most. He wasn't even finals MVP on his own team.
And a lot of people try to make a big deal out of that.
Because that is a big deal. If you're the best player on your team, it's like I made the biggest deal about Steph Curry forever. Remember the conversation until Steph won Finals MVP in 2022?
Yes, but why can't we view Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum as equals? But anyway, my point though is
because Jaylen Brown is more clutch.
My point though is this. They combined for 83 points. What did you want Jason Tatum to do? Go for 60?
Yeah. You know why? Because in that game, he needed it to. We've seen SGA could have gone for 60 last night if he wanted to. We've seen Donovan Mitchell score 70 points. And I'm the one sitting up here saying, if you score 70 points and you lose, I don't give a rat's ass. Win the game. I would rather have Jason Tatum go for 25 and they win than him go for 46 and they lose.
So Sam Hauser, he only had 6 points. Derek White only had 5.
That's the biggest difference to me right there. Because remember how good Derek White was last year in the postseason?
Derek White had 16.
Okay.
It was Al Horford had 5.
And that's the difference again because Al Horford last year, the pick and pop, right? With the 3-point shot.
Yeah. And Peyton Pritchard only gave them 6 points off the bench. So, and that's why I'm saying this loss for the Celtics wasn't on Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Nobody else from their supporting cast really showed up. Whereas you talked about it. You look at Darius Garland gave you 20. Donovan Mitchell had 41.
But it was on a lot of shots. It was bad shooting. When Garland had a quiet 20, it was not a productive 20.
Yeah. Evan Mobley had 17.
But most of that was in the second half.
Yes, and he had 12 rebounds. I'll take that. Jared Allen had 10 points, but only 4 rebounds. Could have been a little better.
The rebounds need to be higher, but some of that was Boston was shooting so well in the first half.
Yes. DeAndre Hunter had 12, but nobody else really off the bench gave you much. Dean Wade had 5. Okoro had 6. Okoro had 5. Jerome
Okoro never needs to play another game in a Cavs uniform again if I was the coach, but
Jerome had 8.
Jerome's been huge. Ty Jerome is the unsung MVP of the Cavs this year.
Merrill had 3. So for the other than DeAndre Hunter, we didn't get a lot off of our bench either.
And you know what? Truth be told, to be honest with you, it's a nice regular season win. It was a great win, but we know these two teams are going to see each other again. I would bet a lot of money this is your Eastern Conference Finals matchup.
The only thing that scares me is if we have to play Giannis and Dame.
Oh, kill them. We would kill Milwaukee. Milwaukee is not that good of a team.
I think the Bucks could push us to at least 6 games.
Well, is Giannis and Dame going to be able to be healthy? They haven't been healthy for the last 3 years.
But and the other point when you mentioned that is
and the Knicks are just not good enough. I'm sorry. They need another piece. They're not as good as Boston, in my opinion. I think Indiana could, like I said, told you last week, I think Indiana could beat Milwaukee again. I think Indiana could give Milwaukee some problems, but neither of those teams are better than Cleveland or Boston. Indiana could probably shoot their way to a win or two just because they're so good shooting, but they don't have the depth and the capabilities that Cleveland and Boston do.
So it's interesting you're talking about Indiana and Milwaukee because they're tied right now.
Well, that's what I'm going to say. Then Detroit, those two in Detroit are going to be your 4, 5, and 6. 7 and 8, Orlando, they've been beat up all year. Sounds like Jalen Suggs may not come back. I'm not afraid of Orlando this year. I think this Cavs team would handle Orlando. Atlanta, I'm not scared of them. We would beat up on Trae Young in the playoffs when they allow more physicality. They don't scare me. Miami without Jimmy Butler to me is basically a shell of themselves. So there's nobody, in my opinion, that even stands a chance. If the Cavs go to the Eastern Conference Finals, they should have no less than 2 losses. So, that's the way I look at it.
So it's interesting you're talking. You didn't even mention Chicago.
No, who cares? We play them tonight. If we win or lose, who cares? This team, barring a collapse, is going to be the number 1 seed.
So, but it's interesting that we've got Chicago tonight and Miami tomorrow on a back-to-back because either of them could possibly be our first-round opponent.
I wouldn't even mind resting one of those nights. I know Evan Mobley's resting tonight. I wouldn't even mind if you rest a Garland or a Mitchell against Miami. I think this Cavs team is getting ready for the playoffs right now. They're not worried about a potential first-round preview. They don't care, and nor should they care. This team can beat anybody on any given night.
So playing Miami on the second night of a back-to-back, that does scare me a little bit.
What do you got to be scared of, Josh? You take one out here and there, who cares? This team is going to be the number 1 seed in the East. I don't even care. We can skip right to the playoffs right now. And so this regular season's over to me.
I get what you're saying. The Heat are not the same team without Jimmy Butler. I'll give you that. But it's still, I'm not just going to dismiss the Miami Heat like that. This is still
okay, but if they win a random game in the middle of March, I'm not going to, oh my God, they could beat us in a first-round series. No.
I'm not saying we should be scared of them upsetting.
You just said I'm scared of them.
I'm talking, they are still a very dangerous team.
No, they're not.
Yeah. I think they're still a very dangerous team.
No, they're not. Not at all. If they're going to play Boston or Cleveland, I would be surprised if that series goes to 6. Either one of them. You may give them a game 4 at home if they're down 3-0.
I just remember
that's 4 games under 500. How are you going to say they're a scary team?
I just remember the last time we played them on the second night of a back-to-back last season. It was after.
It was last season with our coach named JB Bickerstaff. This is a completely different team.
I get that, Brandon, but we're playing them on the second night of a back-to-back again this season. Chicago's not going to make it easy on us. They're at home. They want to end our winning streak. It's a division opponent. I don't love that we're playing the Heat on the second night of a back-to-back.
Listen, I don't care. We could lose both of these games tonight and tomorrow by 50. I don't care.
Maybe I'm thinking about it too much, but
I think you are. I don't care if we win or lose by 50. This team is going to be the number 1 seed. I am looking big picture.
I'm trying to look at big picture also, and I'm looking at either one of these teams as a possible first-round opponent.
And the way I look at it is they don't scare me at all. We should beat them bare minimum 5. I actually think if we're that good, we should sweep them.